ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם שהכל נהיה בדברו. Abraham deserves even greater credit because he grew up in the home of an idolater. Not any idolater. His father actually had a factory of idols. And yet, Abraham became the father of monotheism, the belief in one God that is invisible, that one cannot represent. Yet, lately I have a little sympathy for this Terach. But I want to analyze a little bit his personality. Why is it that he is a failed leader and is not counted among the great leaders of the Jewish people? According to the Midrash, which is an elaboration on the text of the Torah, one day Abraham destroyed all the idols in his father's home, except for one, the biggest one. And he took an axe that he had used to destroy the other idols and put it in his hand. And when his father came back and saw what had happened, he questioned Abraham. What happened here? Abraham said, it's obvious. Don't you see? The biggest of all the idols simply destroyed all the others. He's stronger than them. Terach looked at Abraham and said, you and I, we both know that these idols can't move. This couldn't happen that way. So we see that Terach didn't believe really in the power of these idols. My late teacher, Rabbi Joseph B. Soloveitchik, on one opportunity said, don't underestimate people. You think that the idolaters believe that those idols are really gods. Those are only representations of forces in nature. Terach knew that his idols cannot be worshipped per se. They represent something. But the problem with Terach was that he didn't go a step further to realize that there is a unity among all the forces in nature, in the world, in the universe, that there actually is a creator, like his son Abraham was able to do. One day, Abraham heard that God told him, go to the promised land. Actually, if one reads the Torah carefully, it was Terach that started the journey from the city of Ur, the most advanced city in those days, cultural city, the greatest civilization of those times. He left Ur to go to the promised land. He didn't call it the promised land, but he was going to go to Canaan. But he made a stop in a place called Haran. Unfortunately for Terach, he never continued. He died in Haran, on his way to Canaan. It was only his son Abraham that continued the journey. He knew what the promised land is. What I'm trying to say is, Terach was probably a special man. After all, he was the father of Abraham. Abraham grew up in his home, and Abraham must have been nurtured by his views. But the problem with Terach was, it was an inconclusive symphony. He didn't go all the way. He was going to the land of Israel, but he stopped in Haran and didn't do everything. He knew that the idols didn't have any power in themselves, but he couldn't take a step further and realize that there's only one God in this world. So make sure when you do something, don't stop midway. Be clear in what your goals in life are and make sure you get there.